Not me, I
No,
wouldn't.
no, no, not
They
you,
would-
but
somebody else
the,
might go, hey.
compliance people.
Yeah.
Hey guys, this is Ned with Insurance Shoppers at lifeshop.ca, and today I have with me Brad Cross, who's the Regional Vice President of BMO Global Asset Management. And yeah, I got this right this time. And I wanted to interview Brad today just for a few minutes to introduce him to you guys, because so far we've done mostly life insurance. But I also wanted to introduce to you what BMO does on the investment side. They have some really good investment options and solutions. So I wanted to introduce Brad to you guys, and maybe he can give us a little bit of a spiel about how and why BMO is a great way to invest money.
Well, thank you, Ned, and thank you to all that are going to watch this.
Yeah.
So the advantages that BMO has is, one is longevity. For those that don't know or are not familiar with BMO, I'm sure everybody is. They see the bricks and mortar. It's on many street corners. But BMO is the oldest bank in Canada. We're celebrating our 200th year
Oh, I didn't know that.
this year. So that's a tremendous milestone. You know, we actually helped establish Canada. They opened up little small banks across the country and near the railroads, and that helped establish those small towns that became big towns across the country. We actually were the Bank of Canada at one point, the lending bank at one point in time. So we have that long history. That's a great thing. So it comes with a lot of recognition and brand awareness, which that's a great thing to have.
That's interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah, and you know, to have that longevity is very and stand the test of time is a real testament to who we are, and it can't be ignored. You know, so it's a very good thing for us. So we're very proud of that. Two, our size. So currently we manage about $350 billion globally in asset management, which is a tremendous size. So that makes us the fourth largest asset managers in the country, in Canada. And it's never to brag just about the size of Bank of Montreal, but what it does allow us to do is attract and retain some of the best minds globally.
Yeah, so that's why it's important. for the
Very
client,
important.
for our clients.
Yeah, it's so that they can manage the money the best way possible. We have 24 offices around the globe, so which gives us the biggest global footprint of any, certainly any bank in Canada, and against some of our competition in the mutual fund business. So it's a truly global asset manager. We have 425 investment professionals that are extremely smart people that handle your assets and handle your money to make sure that it is safe and it's going to be there. Like we have been around for 200 years. This is going to be around for a long time.
Okay, so longevity for sure. Now you guys do obviously the regular stuff, GICs, you do mutual funds, but recently also introduced what we call segregated funds to your portfolio, which are basically mutual funds that are insured by an insurance contract that gives you certain guarantees.
Yeah, correct, yes. So that's a great addition to our lineup, and it's one of the reasons why I'm at BMO.
Yeah, that's why I came over, because you were really excited about that part. Right?
Absolutely. I was at TE and they left the business, and I came over to BMO because it was part of the reasons why. And they also got into exchange traded funds, ETFs.
Yeah, you
so
do that as well. Right?
Yeah, so that's a big part of what we're doing today, and keeping costs down and delivering solutions that are cost effective for everybody, because it is something that when investing, people are very aware of today. So that's a great thing. I will say some of those, you know, our seg funds, our segregated funds, are not offered at the bank.
Yeah.
And that's a very important part. I don't actually deal with any of the bank branches. I deal with investment advisors like yourself, and help them position and grow their book and grow their business, and help them position BMO Investment Solutions to their clients. So it's a great thing. So this is not offered at the bank level. They're not licensed to do it. They're not capable of doing it. It's just not crossing those pillars. You're not allowed to cross.
Yeah, so maybe we can go into that a little bit, and you can tell us a little bit about the advantages of a segregated fund over a standard mutual fund. But like a lot of people have maybe heard a little bit about it, but there's a lot of confusion right now out there about, you know.
Yeah, there's a lot of misconceptions about
misconception,
about segregated funds, and even in the investment world, where it's incumbent upon them to understand this, it's still being left behind because there's the misconception is it's too costly. And I can tell you that we're proud to say that a lot of our segregated solutions have MERs, management expense ratios, from anywhere from low twos, like 2.10, 2.10% to 3, just over 3%, depending on the solution. Many mutual funds out there, the average mutual fund in Canada has an MER of 2.25. So we have segregated funds that have the same or similar MERs. A lot of global funds in Canada, a lot of even Canadian funds for that matter, or North American funds, have an MER well above 2 at 2.5%. Well, that's the same pricing that we're having with the segregated funds.
So just for our audience, some people may not know what an MER is. An MER is basically a fee that the investment company charges to manage your money.
That's correct.
To pay the managers, to pay their advisors.
Yep.
And so on.
Administration costs.
So every fund
costs.
has a fee.
Yep.
It's only a matter of how much is that fee.
That's correct.
So a lot of people think that segregated funds have a much higher fee than mutual funds, and therefore they're not worth it. But what you're saying is that in some cases with BMO, for example, your mutual fund, your segregated fund fees are very similar to an average mutual fund.
That's correct. Yeah.
So somebody doesn't have to compromise.
That absolutely.
On the fee, right?
The benefits, that's 100% correct, and the benefits that the segregated funds offer over the mutual funds is great, and it's well worth it. And when you can get the same cost for the extra benefits, you go with the extra benefits every time.
Of course, yeah.
Right? So, we're fortunate to be able to, we launched a few years ago, 3 years ago, 2.5, my apologies. Our original lineup was 100-100, which means 100% maturity guarantee and 100% death guarantee.
Yeah, so let me just stop you there for a second.
Sure.
Because a lot of our audience doesn't really know what 100-100 means.
Yeah.
So what it means is that if you start off with a $100,000 portfolio, and it drops to $80,000, you still your principal of $100,000 is guaranteed at maturity.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's 100%.
That's 100%.
And the other 100% is in case of death, right?
In case of death.
Because that's something we can't control when somebody dies. So if you die at the wrong time and the portfolio is down, BMO will top it up. They will give you the extra money out of their pockets.
That's correct.
So that's pretty powerful, right?
Yeah, and what it allows people to is to invest with the safety in mind.
Yeah.
That they don't have to worry about the markets. That they don't have to worry about the downside of the markets. What we saw in 2008, they can still have those guarantees. There's a tail end risk to investing, always. So if your maturity was coming up in 2010 and you didn't have a seg fund with that guarantee, that would have been
you'd be down quite a bit.
You'd be down quite a bit, and that's where the benefits, some of the benefits of investing in seg funds are, which a mutual fund doesn't offer. So it's a tremendous thing. It's a sleep at night, warm, comfy feeling that you can do. People that are risk averse, people that can't take risk mentally, a lot of times, and stick with GICs. This is a great way. It's the first step that they can take or may need to take to make sure that their money is going to last longer. That's going to be there to provide. People are living longer. There's the longevity risk that people don't think about.
Oh yeah.
It's costing longer. They're living longer. The lifestyle that they want to live. So there's a lot of challenges out there for people today that they might not be addressing, and GICs just aren't going to cut it.
Yeah, so GICs, I just want to mention that because we hardly ever talk about it. We always talk about mutual funds, but there's a lot of people that still invest in GICs at 1 or 2%.
Yeah.
And what they don't realize is that at 1 or 2%, they're actually losing money.
That's correct.
Right? Because after taxes and
inflation,
you actually are probably -1, right? Something like that.
That's correct, yeah.
So with a segregated fund, you can probably get a higher return without taking any extra risk.
That's correct. That's correct. There's investment risk is one thing, but the guarantees are there to back that up.
Yeah, exactly.
So it provides that peace of mind. And we know when investing in stock markets, people avoid it and they go into GICs because they don't want to take the risk. They don't want to have the downside. And the challenge with investing in the stock market is your emotional ride. It's not getting from here to here. It's how you get there. And the problem with the stock market is it does go up and down, right? There's different market cycles, economic cycles, and it's the losses that people can't handle. And I don't know if you've ever heard of Daniel Kahneman, but Daniel Kahneman wrote a thesis on loss aversion theory. So it's a great piece, and actually explains how the feeling of a loss is twice as great as the feeling of a gain. The gains are diminishing and not continuing exponential, but the feeling of a loss is twice as great. It hurts a lot more, and I think we can all relate to that. If you've ever invested,
that's when you make those bad decisions, is when you feel bad and you get out at the wrong time.
Exactly, 100%. And it explains some of the ride of the stock markets, the rolling over in the top of the stock markets, and it takes a while to roll over. We don't know where we are today, but we know that the markets tend to roll over on the top, and people are happy and euphoric and making lots of money. But at the same time, that feeling of the gain is diminishing, and then things change in the cycles, and markets start going down, and it explains the bottom, and the bottoms are always V's. Rolling over the top, these are bottoms because people fear, panic, and then capitulation. Get me out. I don't want to be invested in this. And that's one of the best times to be investing, is when you're at the bottom. Can we time that perfectly? No, we can't. Do we know where the tops are? No, we don't always know that. And we don't know where we are exactly on the market cycles. But it explains a lot of how people make the wrong decisions. But if you have a guarantee,
if you have the guarantee at the end, then it'll make that ride a lot easier.
Yeah, a lot easier, right? And it's staying through that time, right? It's minimizing. First of all, the guarantees are going to be there. Second of all, asset management is going to be there, and it's minimizing, reducing that ride along the way, so you don't make the mistakes to create losses. Yeah, having those guarantees are what's really important.
Yeah, that's a really good explanation, Brad. I appreciate that. Understand we covered it, Brad.
So the different options, we talked about a little bit about the 100, automatic monthly resets.
Yeah, so tell us about that. So somebody invests at 100% maturity guarantee, mm-hmm. and then 3 months later they're up a couple of $1,000. What happens?
BMO automatically resets the value, the market value, to that higher value, the higher watermark on that. So if it actually doesn't pass the previous month, it still stays at the high watermark. But if it goes up again, it's reset. So the maturity value guarantee is reset to the higher level.
Okay, so basically you don't have to do anything for that. It's automatically done by BMO?
Automatically done.
So if you're up, your guarantee is reset at a higher level. If you're down, nothing happens. You still keep the higher
That's
watermark.
Correct, on the maturity guarantee. That's right.
So that's gives you even additional and extra gains, right, that you normally wouldn't have.
Absolutely, 100%. And well worth the cost of investing in something like that. It's great. It allows somebody that risk-averse person to invest and have that safety and that feeling that they've locked in some gains.
Yeah. So when you say extra cost, what it basically means is that BMO will charge you a little bit of a higher fee for that product than if it was a 75% guarantee.
That's correct.
So somebody that doesn't want to pay that extra cost, if they're fine without having those guarantees, they can go on a lower fees and still get the 75%.
That's correct. That would be correct. Yeah.
And then, is there any resets on at the 75%?
No
annual resets or no?
No resets on the 7500. No. And that product's used more for accumulation, lower cost, and for estate planning, which is one of the key features in investing in a segregated fund.
Yeah. So let's talk about that a little bit too, estate planning, because in a regular investment, usually if you pass away, then that money has to go through your estate, mm-hmm. and then it has to be estate taxes, fees, so on, right? So with a seg fund, that's not the case.
That's correct. That's not the case at all. They pass outside within a segregated contract. It passes outside the estate. You can name the beneficiaries, because as a named beneficiary, it wouldn't go through the estate, which in Ontario can be a costly venture because of probate fees, which are only, for a high net worth person is 1.5%. But it's not just the 1.5% that's costly; it's the legal fees, which really can add up to a higher amount than actually the probate fees. and that becomes public. And then you have people that are challenging, because it's public, people can challenge that estate.
Yeah.
And the owner might not be able to direct assets to the beneficiaries the way they want through the estate, even though it's done and that's what the wishes were. It can be challenged.
Yeah, yeah.
And if there's different siblings or heirs or whatever it may be, relatives that have a challenge on that, then it costs a lot more money, and the lawyers are the ones that make all the money, and that's not the right way. So the best way to do that, multi-generational wealth planning and estate planning, is to avoid the probate, avoid the estate, have it done through a segregated fund, and designate your beneficiaries. There's instances where some children haven't talked to their parents, or disown the parents. The parents are disown them, or we know this. There's siblings that don't get along. There's siblings that are very wealthy, siblings that are.
So you can designate the exact percentage
Exact
you want to
percentage.
anybody. They get it within weeks. No
100
questions asked.
No questions
Yeah.
asked. It's done. It's simple.
And nobody knows.
effective, and nobody knows.
Yeah.
That is
So
worth
that
it.
alone to me would be worth
Peace of
pretty much
mind.
anything, yeah.
Peace of mind. Absolutely, 100%. Yeah. So that's a great feature of that 75, 100, or the 100. Anything in the seg funds allows those features.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
for business owners, I think that there's some creditor protection too. Like if you have to go bankrupt, a seg fund will be protected from creditors. In many
Absolutely,
cases.
yeah, absolutely, 100%. And I forgot about that, and that's important too for the small business owners, doctors, dentists, lawyers that have assets in the business, and they want to protect that from a creditor. Absolutely, 100%. It's a very good segregated. It's one of the best things. The only thing in mutual funds you can't protect against the creditor. So that's a great thing for those business owners for sure.
Okay, all right, that's good. So I guess to summarize it, you have a great old institution like BMO being 200 years old with great management all over the world. And then you have these segregated funds which protect your estate, give you great performance with guarantees. So it's a pretty good place to put your money, I think, right?
100%, and that's a great summary. And it's a great opportunity that people need to take a look at, especially as we're getting on in our years. It's important to protect those assets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so good. Now, unless you have something else to add, I think that's really all I wanted to get across for today.
Not at this time. I think we addressed I think we addressed the cost. I think we addressed some of the issues, some of the misconceptions out there. And it's
Yeah.
definitely worth taking a look at for for clients' portfolios. There's no question. And you're working with those people every day to make sure that they are doing the right thing.
That's it, yeah. So maybe we can leave it at this for now. We'll probably shoot a few more videos in the future that'll be more detailed towards certain products. But thanks a lot for watching, guys. And if you have any questions of me or Brad, or if you like to find out more about BMO and how this works, just reach out to me, email me, or call me back, and we'll get that information to you. So thanks a lot. And thank you, Brad.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.